crying or screaming because I don't work on a Friday and I'm being granny.
Well, we like children. We're quite child friendly. Have you got? How many have you got today?
Well, at the moment I've got the 2 wee ones.
You've got 2 ones.
I'll get the older one after school.
That is a busy day, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been all week. If I've not been at work, I've got kids. I'm knackered. Why did I retire and return? Hey-ho.
Oh, joy of joys.
Sorry, I have dogs. You might hear them though.
You might hear my dog as well, so I apologise. It just takes someone to walk past the house, and he's off in one. So
I know. Yeah, Sharon can.
Everybody's just joining in. That's nice.
Hi, Sharon.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hi, Sharon.
Hello.
We're just getting started, Sharon.
Sorry, I get sidetracked with something up in the ward there, so apologies
Right,
for my tardiness.
So I'm probably going to start with an apology. I know it was short notice that we changed it, but it was due to kind of unforeseen kind of shuffling around of diaries very late on, providing go live support, which meant I had to travel on Wednesday. So Maggie and Kerry were already on site, and I had to travel on the Wednesdays to be there for the following days. So we had to move it. I know Fridays don't suit everyone hugely because a lot, they're part-time and other commitments. But it was just due to diary. It was either that or it would be several weeks down the line if we didn't kind of call something we thought was better than nothing. So we do apologise. We know it's an inconvenience and we know people are not happy that short notice changed to a Friday. But it is a one-off and it's not something we've done frequently or would look to do unnecessarily in the future. So I do apologise. So that then moves us on to Monday board. I know you've kind of had your meeting, so Julie's kind of put a couple of things on, so we'll work our way through. I'm just going to share my screen with you. Is that okay?
Yeah.
If we just kind of work through our kind of board then, and then we can move to kind of any other business that you want to raise with us. Okay. Poor and slow communication. The distribution lists. So we can see these have also just kind of discussed that you thought it was kind of up to date, but it would appear that perhaps it's not. And maybe again, if we go back to the discussion we had in January, if we make that a two-way process, we'll certainly look at ours and cross-check, but if maybe you could look at who you believe should be on that communication contact list, then hopefully we can rectify that fairly quickly. So if we have a kind of internal check of who has that in their user permissions against who you feel should have that and perhaps they don't have that in their user permissions, I think maybe a joint piece of work is involved kind of there. So again, it's apologies if it's not up to date. We do apologise. Benny?
Yeah, just on this note, actually, I wanted to check with you if whether my understanding is right when we mark a user as key contact, then would that make her or him put on the distribution list automatically, or this is where you derive from the distribution list, or you would?
It should do, but in addition to that, when we discussed it previously, there will be people that you perhaps will want on that contact list that may not have a user account. So it may be, within your IT department or within administration departments. So it's just to make sure that we've got all the right people. And it may be people have been promoted within, from, they have been a labour ward midwife, now charge midwife, and all your charge midwives have key contact permission. So it's just making sure that we're kind of cross-checking and getting it kind of right, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so then just so I understand, because I had a query about this to the service desk, what is the difference between the key contact, the data quality, and the lead clinical contact? So my understanding is if the key contact is marked, then the email address which you see in the user profile is automatically put on the distribution list. But then I understand equally it's better if you email as well, so double.
Yeah.
But then is there any, the data quality one, do you regard that as anything, or is something what is not being used? Because then the explanatory note on the user management section says the data quality, those who are data quality contacts, they receive alerts sort of relating to data quality, which I'm not quite sure what is that. Would that be different from main comms, if that makes sense, or not?
So yeah, it is different. So I've lost my screen sharing. Hold on, to move back. So I suppose the data quality contact isn't really used as the distribution where, you know, if it's that kind of generic comms going out about you know, failover or system slowness, blah blah blah. So it really is for people receiving that level of information, you'll want them to be the user contact, you know, that main kind of contact. So I would put more emphasis on having that selected.
Okay, thank you.
Let's see. Okay, so issues that Julie had put on issues across all communication channels. I suppose if we kind of take them individually, then what would you say the issues with the Monday board were? Do we know?
I think probably response time rather than anything.
Is it an example of what you've raised in a Monday board? I mean, it wouldn't be an instant, you know, it's just in people's kind of workflow.
I mean, I just, you know, I only raised a few things a couple of times, and then eventually I always received an answer, but sometimes it took like weeks. And then obviously I'm not sure what would be the right time frame and all that, but then on some occasion that it took weeks to actually receive response.
Monday board isn't something that we visit. Well, I accept to say I wouldn't visit Monday board on a daily basis, simply because they're kind of more kind of generic. So I suppose it would be dependent on what you were using it for. If it's something that requires more of an urgent response, then probably service desk and email would be a better form of communication. The Monday boards are quite a kind of generic communication tool. Hi, Sharon.
Hi, Jackie. I think kind of as well, it's kind of talking from kind of what we've experienced here at Forth Valley. I think sometimes when we've had like system issues, we've kind of had to prompt the service desk to say, look, I think the last time it was when we all had to get into failover, there was no email out. So when we were phoning through, I kind of did ask at the time, why is there no email going out to us all? You know, and then I think a few times we've had to prompt them and say, well, when we phone up, yes, they are aware, but then there's no communication to kind of let all other users know. I think that maybe that's just one of the things I've kind of experienced.
So you're talking then emails, not Monday board.
I'm talking emails, obviously. Debbie and Claire would obviously take to do with the Monday board from our perspective, but kind of it's like if there's any issues with the system, it seems to be dragging a bit with kind of communication being sent out if there is an awareness, if System C has an awareness that there is an issue. Whereas we're all kind of, I hope everyone else will agree with me, we're all pinging about that our Teams chat kind of saying, have you got an issue with this? Have you got an issue with that? And then when one of us phone, we find out that they are aware of the issue, but they're not cascading it to all users that we can cascade to our onboard users, so to say.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'll certainly take that forward. I totally agree with you.
That's lovely. Thanks so much, Jackie.
Okay. Anything else with kind of emails? And I'll come on to kind of service desk, just kind of in its own right, and kind of take that because that might be a different discussion. Okay.
Jackie,
so
it might be worth a wee flag, Jackie. Just obviously Julie pops the replies on the Mondays board, obviously when you guys all meet. But because there's not a tag in the comments, I don't actually, like, we don't see the comments until we physically visit the board. So if it's something that you're wanting us to pick up, but to get an email notification, just pop a little tag on and we get that straight away. Because we met last week to do planning and preparation for today's meeting, but obviously we don't see the comments until we kind of come onto the board and kind of are looking for them.
Yeah, that's a good point, Kerry. So yeah, I'll put that in. I'll put it in the just by. I'm just taking some notes just now, and then I'll update the board. So we kind of covered Monday board and emails. Service desk. Is there anything? What were you wanting to raise, kind of, with that one?
Yeah, I would say that service desk is I experience in a way that I think it's generally very good, because you always receive an initial response within totally appropriate time frame. It could be minutes or a couple of hours and whatnot, but then many times, you know, you require a further, I don't know, discussion or establishing to get to the point. And then the many times I experienced that we got to a point and then there's none further. And then it's almost like, oh, okay, what happened just now? And then I need to go back to the ticket, and then I always give time, like sometimes a week or two, and then there's no further response, but nothing being agreed that for example, sometimes obviously if they say that I need to wait for the engineer's input or liaise with someone, that's fair enough. But sometimes I feel like you ghosted a little bit, like nothing being addressed, but there's no further advice, and I'm still with that kind of issue. And I appreciate many times it's not something which a big one for System C, but then in local level, it could be quite impactful or important. And then I need to go back to the ticket, and many times it's just like, it's almost like you lost the conversation. You need to pick it up again, and then explain again. You might have another advisor and whatnot, which could be in favor of the ticket, but not necessarily. Sometimes like one particular problem or resolving or just receiving advice, it could be quite dragging. This is what I meant, over timeline.
Okay.
Benedict, sorry, can I ask, does it relate to the support tickets, or does it relate to change requests?
Right, let's see. No, normally support tickets. You know, change request by nature, I expect that something is going to be a longer period of time anyway, and then at some point is linked to a change request or declined or not. Or, you have your discussions around that. No, I'm talking about more about advice on matters like suggestions and stuff. Yeah,
makes sense. Thank you.
And then not all cases, it's not over. Is it kind of, I think my experience, maybe many others with the service text could be, exceptionally good in some occasions, and sometimes it's just on other end, and many in between. So it's just, yeah.
It just helps us with the kind of internal discussions and escalations as to what kind of concerning you, if we can narrow it down. So thanks, Benny, but we do apologise if we're kind of slower off the mark. Okay, so I'll kind of update those. Tanya, since you're kind of on the call, and I know you went part of the kind of discussions, but we can see here that they've raised about the dates for release and future dates. Do you have an update for the group on that for 2024?
Oh, you're on mute, Tanya.
That's not helpful. Hi everyone. Sorry, I didn't introduce myself. I'm Tanya. I'm the product owner for Badgernet's maternity and for Badger Notes. So if in case you don't remember me, I did a haircut, so I probably dramatically changed. This is a decision that's now being discussed between Badgernet and System C, and it's unfortunately still in discussion, which I appreciate is very inconvenient. It's quite inconvenient for us to not know as well, but I think that is something that's good. We're going to find out pretty soon, almost like, well, I was told this week, but hopefully next week. I'm chasing myself So as soon as we know, we can send you the communication on that.
Thanks, Tanya. Contraception changes, as you know, I've generated the change request for that. So that's been done, and Morag, I'm just waiting an information coming from Morag, and then I'll do the second half of that change request. Anybody get anything to add to that? Or be okay, happy? First plan. Again, that's just kind of work with yourselves. It's just kind of once you've discussed that, you can report back to us at a later date. So we'll kind of pick that up kind of later then. So that probably is a
Yeah, I think we already agreed on.
suspended, on hold. Sorry, Benny,
well,
what were you going to say?
No, sorry, I just wanted to say, I think I already saw somewhere that we kind of agreed on a date where we're going to work on the birth ban between us, not all of us, but many of us who got
Okay.
interest in that. And then I take the report back to you from that, following that meeting at some point. But yeah.
That's fine then. So once we've got that, then we'll bring that
So
back up.
it's
So
on hold, in progress, like within the group then for sure.
perfect. Best start. Again, we're just waiting on that kind of coming back to us. So once that's been kind of formally agreed, we can pick that up and move that forward. Okay. Leave it on the same measures. We haven't had any confirmation as to what those reporting measures are going to be. There was interaction with Excellence in Care initially, but I think that's kind of petered off a wee bit. So we're still waiting. So, once we're informed. Margaret, have you got any
Hi,
notes?
Jackie. So I've been contacted this week by Excellence in Care because they've got the new measure out for skin to skin. So I have said that obviously I was coming on today and I would bring it up to see if we've heard yet when the measures will be added into the system.
I don't have the copy of it.
Okay, so I didn't get it either. I had to go and find it. And although they're saying it's the new copy, it's actually got 23 date on it, so who knows? But it's basically, I mean, when I can pull skin to skin contact, but they're wanting back to the measure of the hour. So it's that part. So I've just said I would bring it up and you can let me know.
Okay. Well, you can certainly ask them if the email what their reporting measures are. We'll certainly look at it, but if they don't share the document, then
okay.
Thanks, Margaret. I've lost volume. I'm going to be very honest, I have not gone into the backlog to look at this one, so that is still sitting with me. So apologies. Any updates in the plan to integrate? It's very much, let's get a broad spectrum discussion. The long answer is yes, there will be discussions of interaction across System C products, but I don't have a time frame or an expectation of when and how that will be. So I appreciate that's quite a woolly answer, but I don't have anything other than everything's on the table, but I don't have a time frame for what that will be. So as soon as either Maggie, Kerry, or I have any information on that, we'll update you as we can. Kerry, do you want to lead on this one? Because I don't see your invited guest. That's come along.
I don't know actually if Dumfries are on this, but this came through service desk, and we said we'd bring it to the meeting today. So obviously need kind of all kind of Scottish sites input, but Dumfries were looking for a change request to be able to add more drop-down options into the postnatal education contraception tab to identify actual contraception given at discharge, and also looking for a report for that. So I suppose that'll be kind of the initial discussion, and probably one for you guys to...
I'm probably kind of thinking that's maybe something that might be covered in the work that Morag brought to us.
Well, the previous contraception
it was just that the service desk item had nothing other than that statement, what to add, what not to add. So we thought if she came on, we'd be able to go, this is a piece of work that the group have already undertaken. I think probably maybe the next steps in that, Kerry, is if we perhaps put a condensed overview of what the contraception change request that Morag and the group have worked on.
Yeah, absolutely.
It probably maybe covers that.
Yeah, I don't think Sharon was aware of that work that had been going on. So,
and Morag was getting back to us on building a report for contraception as well. So I imagine I would maybe link it in actually to the change request 124570, and then just say that the report will be built once we have all the measures that Morag was looking for. But the group are already working on that, and I think that probably would be kind of covered. I think so. So I think we'll be able to progress in that one. Is there anything on the leaflet library?
Nothing new to report. We still have the 2 change requests that are generated, which I know is 2 change requests that are quite big for you guys and for the whole of the UK, let's say, into kind of staff seeing more of the leaflets within the client. They're both change requests that when we have spoke to product, obviously still kind of sitting in the backlog. They're big pieces of work, and they've just not, unfortunately, had the time to be allocated to a release just yet. But we still keep doing our poking and prodding, and hope that one day we'll be able to get them in. So there's nothing new to report there. You will see I have been keeping the view for you guys on the Mondays board of the kind of library view, just in the meantime, and so that you know kind of exactly what is all in the National Library, and then something that I update every kind of 6 months. I think previously is what I've been doing. I last did it in November. I don't think, Jackie, there's any new leaflets that anybody have been talking about or anything.
Certainly nothing come to me. No.
That I could see. Yeah, no. So nothing new to report there. But if anybody does have anything after this meeting, just let me know.
And it's totally sizable. It's just because, Benny, you're on the call. I can see the whites of your eyes. I do have someone in Tech Ops working on a new library ID for you to split your libraries. So that is in progress. He just hasn't managed to get into it yet.
Yeah, I'm pleased to hear that, because that's great. Thank you.
So I'll be able to maybe chase that next week. So that's in progress.
Just to add to it, it might be minor, but it really bugs me that it's still an issue. And actually, I wanted to explore if it's an issue for others. Maybe it's not the best part. I could speak with other digital midwives elsewhere, but it's still one of the function in the library does not work when you have already an existing leaflet and you change the title in the details section. It does not display. So, and then although it's a small bug, it really affects how to manage the library, because you really don't have any option but remove the previous leaflet and then re-upload it again, rather than able to. It just simply, the function should really work, and I think it is not a big ask. I think it is important, especially for libraries. We're managing nearly 300 leaflets, and then I can't really find myself. It would be really good if that could be done at some point.
Okay, that's good. We'll push that on to once we get the change request ID to Tanya's the women in the know and these things. So it's good to have her on the call. She leads in a lot of this work, so we can certainly escalate that too.
And on the positive note, can I just ask, because I think many of us, I certainly welcome the languages in the leaflet. Their function, I think, is absolutely excellent. And then bilingual of leaflets up, and then we started seeing patients using it. You know, that's absolutely great. Were there any plans for expanding the available language list any further?
Tanya, do you have any inside knowledge in if and when that's being expanded?
I'm so sorry. Could you repeat that? I was just looking at those change requests in the meantime. I've missed that. I'm really sorry.
It's
No,
about the availability of extending the language translations for leaflets.
Extending to, sorry.
Well, currently we have the top 10. Is it any kind of time scale of if that's going to be expanded to incorporate other languages?
Do you mean when you're adding leaflets in the library management?
No, what I mean that my understanding is, you know, when you have new languages available for translation for budget, is actually not primarily for the library. I think is just a secondary effect, the localization ID, because obviously the languages are they meant to translate the entire budget notes to display for the patient. I think this is the angle you were originally coming from, that you change the language to Romanian, then whatever is already being translated in budget to that language, it displays in that language, including the leaflets via localization ID. No, I just wanted to know, because at the moment around, I don't know, 13, so many languages available, but obviously not all, whether you planning to expand on putting more foreign languages into this list.
Sorry, I might, can I just confirm again? So do you mean translating the actual budget notes up, like we've done, into multiple languages? Are we talking about the leaflets, or are we talking about like literally translating the contents of the budget notes up? Like, for example, now you can choose the language. So what is the question about? Because we're kind of working on both. So.
Because, sorry, I thought the two is the same in a way that, yes, you have the languages which the application is available on, but you also have the localization ID kind of leaflet management, but aren't they the same languages?
So, I mean, we are probably talking about slightly different things. So the localization ID is just something that ties that bundle together of the leaflets of the same type, but translated into different languages. So those so that is one thing. Like, we're also translating the budget notes app as the app unrelated to leaflets into multiple languages. And at the moment, I honestly don't remember how many they are, but I kind of think it's around maybe 10, but like it's not
10.
Yeah, so but it's not the whole app that's currently translated. It's like the most of it. So we are working on that.
I see. I thought the two goes hand in hand, but there is not the case. But what in that case, if they look, because I think obviously there's massive value for the entire app to be available on more than those 10 languages, many more. But then would that be possible then, because then having the localization ID, is there any barrier can we just have it for all available languages?
We need to, I guess, that is a very good question. And interestingly, that's the request we're thinking about, because I mean, if you're thinking about the BudgetNet, if we don't think about the app for a moment, if we're thinking about BudgetNet, there is a long list of languages there, but it's still quite limited. So you might, for example, want to upload the leaflets in, say, Ukrainian. So that's something you at the moment cannot use for that localization ID. But the work we're thinking about now is basically in that list where you do your library management to include as many languages as possible. So that work is something we are estimating. So the kind of unfortunately, the team that works with things considering the app has been doing a massive framework change work. So that is the bad news. That's why kind of a lot of work on budget notes, including leaflet management, has been paused. The good news is that work's nearly done. So now we are starting to think about these things. But that is a very good point. And that makes total sense, because there are leaflets that are being uploaded in many more languages than we currently have on that list.
Okay, excellent. That's good to hear. Thank you.
Okay. So our change request kind of priorities. I suppose my question would be, did you discuss kind of a group, anything that you want to kind of escalate as a priority? I wasn't sure, perhaps, the pulse oximetry screening, which we've been working on over the kind of late last year. So the change request has been generated for that. What is it you want us to take to Tanya as, maybe a kind of small national priority list? I didn't want to just kind of select on your behalf. Just wondered if you had discussed it at your call at all.
I was on the pre-meeting, but I can't really recollect whether we actually set up a priority list or not. But I think the kind of idea was that we would use the voting tool as such, and then that would give us the desired result.
That's kind of fine. Maybe if you kind of, even if you're kind of discussing it internally, give it a wee bit of thought. I wasn't sure if you'd want the pulse oximetry and the contraception, which were the two kind of bigger pieces of work from last year. But you've got your list here, so if you get back to Kerry and I will certainly tag that and escalate it to Tanya.
Yeah, maybe we can just after the meeting we can just ask the others just to make sure we vote, and then that gives us some sort of more clear priorities, and indeed.
Okay. So they're all kind of on hold. They're kind of completed. Is there anything else you want to raise out with the kind of board? Any other kind of points? Was there any other kind of business? Any?
Sorry. Vaccination management,
right.
VMT tool interface. Where are we at with that?
Could you say that again? What interface?
Sorry, the vaccination.
TURAS
TURAS VMT tool.
Yep. Did I update that? I think where is that on the board? Because I spoke with them again last week. Maybe not even on this board now.
I think it's already in the completed list for some reason, because you answered my question in regard to that, which thank you for that, but then it just sort of.
So it just kind of stalled due to resources for testing. There was a hold up on our side, and then we managed to progress that, and now there's been a hold up and they don't have the resources for testing, so it's just taken them much longer. So we're just waiting and sign off from them is the long and short of it.
Sorry,
it's probably,
exactly.
It's probably one of those pieces of work that for them is nice to have, but they, everybody's busy people, so once they sign it off, we'll be able to implement it. But at the moment, it's sitting with them to sign off that they're happy with the testing. And there was a wee bit of a list. Where did I put it in?
It's just
I don't know why. I've maybe just put that in complete by thing because that's still kind of ongoing. I am going to move it back up. Like that. I think I've maybe just marked it as complete because I answered the question. That would be in my head. So,
but providing they could have a move on that testing and approval, then would be the last step, right? Ideally, prior implementation. Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm.
So we're just kind of waiting on them. But the batch number doesn't import. So I'll put on what I emailed you back in the kind of list. So I'll add that to this board just so that everyone's kind of clear of what they're testing and what's coming across, what they've asked for, what they're sending.
Great.
So I'll add that to here. So that should be the completed. Andy, anything else?
Jackie, can I ask a question? So you may well have heard that the Protea study's been sent round all the boards, that they're looking for all of us to take part for the progesterone in early pregnancy for losses. So having looked at that this week and gone on and looked at Epigoo, because that's where the progesterone blood sits. It's the only place you can get progesterone bloods. So I thought, well, let's have a look and we'll try and move our early pregnancy recording into Epigoo now. If you remember when we went live, they didn't talk to each other. So we just used maternity, and our termination of pregnancy service use Epigoo. However, on reviewing all of that with the thought of let's get everybody in this next 2 weeks trained up in Epigoo, and we'll just put early pregnancy in Epigoo. Yes, it would give us the progesterone. However, it's a news chart and not a muse. And these are pregnant women, so it should be muse.
I'm happy to come in here, Jackie.
Oh, right, sorry, Kerry.
So in APAGU, Margaret, slight change of kind of process for deploying APAGU now. So that's done as a separate kind of implementation. Yes, it still sits in maternity shell as such, and it's still got the same care location and things like that. But regarding kind of the interfaces and stuff, it's kind of been made more into a package. So if it's something you're interested in, first of all, drop me an email, because I'm the lead now for APAGU. We're very much aware that we've not got news in APAGU, and it is a change request. And I'm hoping to tie it in with our programme of work this year, to be able to get that in. So we do also have a user group, if you'd like to come along to that as well.
So I would send Lee to that, because Lee actually works in early pregnancy. And as I said earlier, the reason we didn't start off with it for pregnant women that were continuing with their pregnancy was because it didn't talk to maternity. We know it now does. And we started straight off, I've just checked all of it, the 2nd of November 20, using it for our ladies who chose to terminate their pregnancy. So we have been using it for years. We get lots out of it, but now to start using it for the pregnant women, it needs to have muse. So that needs to be a change request that we need to put in then.
Yeah, so the change request is written. So if you send me the email address of the person you'd like to come along to the user group, that would be lovely to have her involvement. As I say, we'll be scheduled to so much engineering work in APAGU within 2024. So I'm just waiting on the dates of when that will be. And then what we'll do is we've got a Mondays board and stuff which I can add your colleague into. But the muse is definitely in there already, and the change request is already written for that. So I'm happy to also tag your site in that ticket, so you've got a view of that as well.
Yeah, that would be good. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, thank you.
Good stuff. Thanks, Kerry. Anything for anybody else? No. Okay. So thank you for your short notice. Thank you for coming at short notice. Again, do apologise. I know it was an inconvenience. Any?
Apologies. Sorry, just on that on the meeting. I think, do we have the meetings, this very meeting set up for the remaining, or not yet?
Kerry's got it in hand. So this is the last one of the scheduled block, and it will be. We're assuming then it'll just be the same Wednesday bi-monthly time frame, and we weren't looking to change anything on that. But Kerry will send out a new invite.
Yeah, I was going to plan, Benny, to meet with Jackie after this meeting today, and then we'll just kind of slot the rest of the year, maybe until March 2025. So we've got the dates.
Perfect. Yeah, that would be good.
Everybody's got them in their diary. All right.
So thanks again for coming along. We will, once it's ready, put the recording on, and after this meeting, Kerry and I are going and we'll update the board and the notes that we've taken from today.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay. No, thanks for your time. Enjoy your weekend. Take care.
Cheerio.
Bye.
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 Everyone.